Officially, happy Turkey Day. We're gonna get our workout on though first before we eat all that good food, unless you've had your dinner yesterday like me. Okay, so we're gonna get you guys going here with a lower body strength and core workout. There we go. You guys ready for this? For equipment, we are going to be doing some of those step ups that we have been incorporating over the last couple weeks here. So I do have my chair out. Also going to be doing some hip thrusts off of here. So I have the soft and hard surface there, excuse me. But of course I have options if you guys don't have that. Bands, dumbbells, starting on the floor, let's go. Getting onto our back into our, all the way on our back position. We're gonna lay down, right down. Lifting up one leg, grabbing that knee with opposite hand. You guys can pull it all the way over to the side. Ooh, we know this one. Don't spend too long there. We'll bring it back up. And then you can switch and do the same thing on the other side. So we'll bring it over with an exhale. Inhale as we come back to the center. You can relax your head unless your bun is just perfectly in the way, like mine. And then we'll exhale and cross. And we'll get you guys going through 10 of these total, 5 per side. And we're alternating right side, left side. Ooh, they feel so nice. And I know you probably want to stay on one side and just hang out, but we are trying to stay moving in this one, not spending too long, if any time on each side, just a breath and then take it over. Once you guys are done, we'll sit up into our 90-90 position. Yes. So we'll get into here where we have this 90 degrees at both of the knees, bottom of the foot in line with the shin. Locking both of our feet in place. Trying to sit upright with no hands involved. We'll flip over the legs. And we'll do this 10 times total. And if you need to use support from your arms and lean back a little bit, that's okay. Shouldn't be sharp or painful or pinchy or anything like that. So we'll move the hips. Again, we've been doing this now quite consistently, once a week at least. So we should be getting more comfortable in this position and able to do this in an upright position like this rather than leaning back. So we'll go through 10 of those, and then you guys are going to stand up to the top, get yourself off the floor. We're going up to the front of our mat. So we'll step you guys back into a lunge, bringing both of those hands down to the floor, opening up once towards that leg, touching the floor again, and then I'm going to stand up to the top. So alternating now, other side, exhale, open it up, touch the floor twice, and we'll go through 10 of those total, again 5 on each side. Let's do it. So for those of you who don't feel as comfortable sitting so low, you can just always take a knee down and bring it all the way down onto the floor, which will help with balance. Or if you have sensitive knees, you don't feel comfortable hovering like this. So we'll go through whatever we can for 10 of those. And then we're going to stand ourselves into a narrow stance in our feet, stick our arms above our head, and work through an overhead hip hinge. So as you guys finish up those lunges, again, that's 5 per side. You can join me in this one here, where I'm standing quite close to my feet, right underneath my hips, soft knees, strong arms, and all I'm doing is pushing my hips back while keeping those arms above my head. So I should never see my hands, straight legs, but soft knees. So we don't want them completely locked out. You should feel some stretch happening back there. And then we want to think about actually using our butt to stand ourselves up. So once you get the nice posture, the technique, we'll go through 10 reps where we actually feel our butt squeezing at the bottom there to bring us up to the top. Hairball. So we'll go through 10 of those total. And then when you guys are done the hinges, we're going to open up our feet. You can keep your arms above your head actually, into a squat stance. So we'll widen them up just a little bit. And now we have overhead squats. So same idea with the hands. We don't want to see them. They shouldn't be falling in front of us. Shoulder blades are being pulled down and back behind our ears, which makes it actually harder to do all this because we're starting to feel some work happening just from keeping our arms above our head. So we're going through 10 of those, which you might be getting close to already. And then we are headed back down onto the floor. So you guys are going back onto your back onto the back. We're going to take both of our hands, both of our knees, lift them in the air into this dead bug position. I'm going to push all of them together. So I have my same side, right arm, left leg. Other side, swooshing all together like this. Lower back is tight into the floor. And then I'm going to lower one side at a time, alternating right side and then left side, keeping this as tight as possible when these two go down. Not only that hand and knee, but also your lower back. We'll go through 20. Exhaling as we go down. Ooh, this one. So 20 of those total. That is 10 per side. Should be feeling all the things in your core. Warming up. Live is going. Yes. Sip of coffee because it feels extra early this morning. Okay, so once you guys are done that one, do not go too far. We're going to flip over. We got 2 more before we start our official exercises. So the next one, you're going to get yourself into this all 4 position. We want the shoulders stacked over the wrists, hips over the knees. We're going to take one leg and kick it way back and then circle it out and over to the side, lower it, lift it to the side, and then circle it out into that kickback. So these are our hip circles. We'll do that whole sequence 5 times on each side. So I go to the side, don't touch the floor here, I'm still hovering, lift back up, and then into this position. I don't want to be arching my back, so we want to kind of pull in our belly button a little bit. You should feel your butt working like crazy on this entire thing. So out to the side, turn a little bit so you guys can see me here, like this, and down, that whole thing is 1. And so I'll do that 5, and then you can switch and do 5 on the other side. I have my foot flexed up like this because it helps me remember to kick my heel, not my toe, which sometimes just makes us feel our butt a little bit less. So if you flex your foot like this, it helps us feel it more. You go like this rather than like this. You can try it out for yourself, but that's why I have my foot like that. So we'll do that on both sides. 5. These ones sound short, but they take a little while. Feeling our butte. And then the last one we're going to do is standing up to the top. It's going to be our side lunges. Now we're going to come over to one side and step out, shift our weight over, and push ourselves back up to the top. That was 1. We're going to do 10 of these. So we're getting a stretch through the inner thighs, using our back of our legs to push ourselves over and then push ourselves up. We want to send the hips back behind us rather than the knees forward. And when you guys are shifting, we want to stay nice and low as we go through that. So we'll go through 10 of those, 5 in each direction, getting a little dynamic stretch through the inner thighs, and then some work happening in your legs. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so 10. Once you guys are done, we're going to get you started. So, like I said, today is a day we are doing step-ups. Now, the step-ups, I am going to be using this chair. I'm actually going to take off this chair pad. I'll just hang it off to the side like that. That works. So that I have a harder set surface. Now, this isn't something that's necessary, but it's certainly going to be a lot easier in terms of balance and be a lot safer as well if your chair is like mine and it's a little bit rickety. So the first thing I did is push the chair up against the wall. If you don't have a chair right off the bat, you have a stool or a stair, you can use that instead, or you're simply just going to follow along doing a step back lunge instead of a full-on step up. But if you have something to step up onto, preferably about the height of your knees, a little bit higher, we're going to put one foot on it, other foot's on the floor, come up onto the toe, and then stand ourselves up to the top. We go down, up onto the toe, and then we stand ourselves up to the top. Now I'm keeping my arms in front of me just for the sake of safety. If for some reason anything happens, the wall is right here, and I can just hold onto it and catch myself. But if you don't need to do that, you don't have to do that. You can have them down in front of you, whatever you want to do. We are doing 15 reps of these today. So we've been working with 10s the last couple sessions. Today we are going up to 15. So you're going to go through 15 all on one leg. And then we switch and do 15 on the other leg. So we're doing this first set here, keeping in mind we will have to do 3 more. So if you want to start off body weight, see if you can make it hard enough, which I trust most of us can, especially if you are stepping up onto it. We want to think about not using that back leg. So that's why I come up onto the toe like that, is because it's my little secret way for you to not use your back leg. So if you're working without the chair, without whatever it is, you can just step back into a lunge, balance. And if you would like for either of these, we could add weights, especially if you were working with weights over the past couple of weeks here. We're adding more reps today, of course. But if you were working with weights last time and you are not working with them today, I would suggest you do. So if you have them, grab them if you want to add them in for the next set. But before we do that, we'll finish up this one, and we are going to superset this with something. And of course, my band peeps, hopefully you guys know what to do. I'll use my yellow, and I always wear dark clothes when I want to use that black band. But we'll have it looped around this foot, and then we can add it in here. And again, trying not to touch the floor between these. Woo, balance is real this morning. All right, so once you guys are finished this, we are going to pair these step ups today with a front-loaded squat. So I'm going to use my 8-pound dumbbells as well as my loop band, because I want to make this a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to add the band around my knees like this. And I'm using the yellow one just so you guys can see it. I'd probably use the black one if I was actually doing this because it's a little bit stronger. And then I'm going to grab onto my weights, get myself into my squat stance, hold the weights in front of me, and we're going through 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. That's our normal tempo. No pausing, no pulsing. Going through 15 of these squats. So I'm holding the weights in front of me. I have the band around my knees, which I'm pushing my knees out and against, so that I'm getting more work in my hips from the knees having to push out against the band. So we'll get you guys going on these 15 reps. 90 degrees is the goal. So getting down to 90 degrees, unless you have some sort of pre-existing knee stuff going on. It's the only reason why we wouldn't go down to 90 degrees. So let's get those in. 15 of them, nice high reps, feeling kind of like cardio with these two together. Let's do it. Okay, so we are going to take a little bit of rest here, about 30 seconds of rest. And I want you guys to take it, so please grab yourself a sip of water, walk it off, ponder your life for a quick sec. Think about how that felt. We're going to do it 3 more times with this same bout of rest in between. So like I was saying, if you were using weights last week, then I would highly suggest that you use them this week, or bands or whatever you're doing. So let's grab them. If we have them, if not, again, body weight is fine. And let's start our second set when you guys feel ready. So last week I talked a lot about our skater squats, and I wanted to stress last week how important it was that you guys think about them if you're feeling like lunges are getting a little easy. So this is another reminder that these skater squats, where we let ourselves down like this. Sorry, I cannot balance and look this way today. I don't know what's happening, but these guys here, where we're not actually using our back foot to push ourselves up. If you're getting strong in the lunges and you're feeling good and you want to try out those skater squats, that is something that I want you guys to keep in the back of your head. Pull out when you're feeling yourself. So on our second set here, same thing, 15 and 15. So onto the toe, and then we step ourselves up. Oh, yes. Step up, surprisingly, really hard. So we'll get these in here, both sides. As you guys are doing them. There it is. And trying not to use that back foot. I know it is easier said than done, but on the lunges, on the step ups, both of those, you have to really make sure to think about it more than anything. Yes. Okay, so we got squats going on with this one. Oh, yes. So we have this nice front-loaded squat here. You guys are working with this, thinking about pulling in that belly button the entire time. We're holding those weights, whatever it is. We want to scoop the arms underneath the weights and hold it in front of us, not having the weights, the dumbbells, whatever you got here, resting on our chest. So we want to keep it out in front of us slightly. We'll work through these. There it is, 15 of them. Normal tempo, you guys. There it is. There's going to be plenty of stuff after, a little bit slower. So we'll just go through normal in this so we can get through it on time. Let's get it. Okay, so we'll get these squats in, 15 of them, and then we'll take this little bit of rest. So we'll just try to keep it under a minute is what I have in the program here. Some of us are going to want to take a little bit less rest, whereas others, after the squats, like you're going to need a little bit more rest, depending on how hard it is for you. And the shorter that you make the rest, the harder that your next set is going to feel. So if you got to the end of the squats there and you were like, woo, I could keep going, or you were antsy to get going on your next set here, then maybe we should make those a little bit harder. And I know we are quite limited on weights, but just being more conscious in our set is something that we can control, and sometimes we might not be doing all the way as best as we can. So we'll go through this next set, or two rather, so you guys have two more. We'll try to think about these things. So on this one, again, we're trying to not use the back leg. We got that toe happening before we step up onto our bench, onto our step, whatever it is. Okay, same thing if you're doing the lunges, we're stepping back. We're trying to essentially lift up this leg before we are up at the top. We don't want to use it to push ourselves off. So let's get it. And I know it's harder like that. Yes, I know. That's why I want you to do it, so that you can get to the end of your squats and feel like you actually need some rest, which means you're making these hard enough. Woo! All right, let's get it in. 15 of them. There it is. Good job, you guys. Oh, third set. We got one more after this one. Again, holding those front loaded weights. Remind if you're working with something heavy, hold one sideways or like this, does not matter. We want the arms in front of us. We want to get our butt down as much as we can. 90 degrees. We don't have to go any lower than this, just 90. And remembering to push the knees out. Whoop, whoop. Oh, the squats. Get in, feel done. All right. So we'll go through these. Whoop, 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 whoop. There's like one more round after this. There it is. Okay, so we have lots of time. You guys have about 3 minutes until we should be finishing up this part here, which is most likely enough time to finish this last bit of the set. If you're still on it, take that little bit of rest and then do your final set. Boop, boop, boop. So we'll take our sweet time with this last set because again, we do have a 30 minutes to do it in, which we will use all of it towards. And we are plugged in. Please catch it when it's low. Okay. Good job, you guys. So get those squats in. We'll take this little bit of rest. Should be starting our final set quite soon here, maybe within the next minute. Let's get it in. The last one. So we'll go through these. Again, all 15 of them on each side. Oh, yes. Last set of these today, this week. Let's get them. right, so final set has begun. Get these in, finishing just as strong as you felt in that first set, even though you are way more tired now. Nice work, you guys. Let's do it. All right, so final set. Yay! All right, take your time, you guys. You have about 1 minute until I am going to start explaining the next part. So you should be just about finishing up, if not just starting your final superset, your squats. So we'll get those in, the 15 of them, and then we are going to move on to the next part. If you are done sooner than anyone else, I have set up my chair for the next part here where we will be doing a hip thrust words. So I put this soft cushion back on top of the chair. So I'm going to be using it on my back. So yes, but let's finish up these squats here, 15 of them. And then we're going to move on to the next two, which we got hip thrusts. And yes, of course, we have drum roll split squats. Yay. So let's finish up these squats, you guys. We are going to move on to the next part, the next superset. So we have two exercises that we're going to pair together. The first one is our single leg exercise. It is our split squat. So we've been here. We are actually here every Monday. This is a great exercise. Probably one of my favorite lower body ones, especially when we're limited on equipment. So back foot up on our chair. It's our rear foot elevated split squat. We're going to go down to 90 degrees, come up all the way, and you guys are working with a nice, spicy 15 reps on each side. So you can start this whenever you are finished and ready to get going on this next part here. If you are one who does not have a chair or a bench to elevate your back foot, you could use, again, something like a stair or a stool in your house. Just put your toes up on, which is going to elevate it, help it be more glute focused in the front. Or if you really don't have anything, then we can just have our back foot on the floor, and then we'll dip down 90 degrees up and down. So this first set, let's start body weight. We're doing 15 reps, which is pretty hard. So that being said, for most of us, it is not the hardest thing. You can probably handle adding some resistance to this. So if you're feeling like it's too easy, or if feeling like that towards the end of the set, next set, we're going to definitely think about adding some resistance, whether it is your dumbbells in your hands down here like this, or that anchored band, again, anchored around this front foot here for our second, third, and fourth set, because we will be doing 3 more. But again, if you want to just kick it body weight, that's okay too. Should be hard though. We shouldn't be thinking that we can get many more than those 15. Okay, so with this one, we have the hip thrust. So this one, right away, I am going to add some resistance to it. You guys are doing 10 reps total. So I'm going to put these weights on my hips. So I have some weights on there. If you'd like, you could add your band with the weights or without the weights if you don't have them, or if not add the band, it's up to you. But what we're going to do is come up here and hold this for 1, 2, 3, and then we go down and then up 1, 2, 3. And so we're holding that 3-second pause here where we're really thinking about our backside, and we're going through just 10 of these. I know it's still 10, but better than 15. So we'll go through these ones. Again, if you do not have access to a chair or a bench or something like that, we can do this one off the floor. Same weights on the hips if you would like. And then we'll go through the 3-second. Okay. So the reason why I added weight to that one right away is because for most of us, that is going to be, we could probably even go heavier than this for that 10 rep with the 3-second pause, but this one's really, really about the pause and about feeling the pause, which we'll talk about on the next 3 sets. we are not taking any rest. So you guys are gonna stand up and go essentially right into your second set, where I low-key suggested that you add some weights. So if you wanna add dumbbells, we could go with 2 down by our sides here, like this. Or if you wanna get a little bit more core work out of this, if you hold both of the weights on one side, now these weights want your body to go down like this. So we're using more muscles in our core to keep ourselves up, nice posture, as opposed to holding 2 weights like this. So if you wanna try that out, you get that little sneaky core work in there, which is what you get as well if you're using a band that is anchored around your foot, which I would not set up in a split squat like that, but I just wanted to show you guys because we're holding it on the one side. So if you really pull this in, you're gonna get that no matter what, but especially if your weight's more on one side. Yay. So we'll get these in 15 and 15. So last week, I talked about shin angle and where we want our knees to go when we're going back into the split squats. So I'll show you guys with my foot on the floor here. It's easier to balance and talk and explain. So as we're going down, regardless of what kind of split squat or lunge you're doing, we want to think about sending the hips back like this and keeping the shin more upright rather than staying up like this and having your knee go forward like so. That's going to make us feel everything in the front of the leg more, from the quad to the knee, front of the shin there, rather than us pushing back and getting that work in our glutes. It's a lot safer on our knee. So that's something that you can definitely think about. If you have sore knees or they're prone to be sensitive, is just making sure that your shin angle stays as upright as possible. Yay. And that goes also for the hip thrusts, which we really don't have to think about as much in terms of causing knee pain, because typically these ones are a lot safer and more friendly on the knees. But let's get ourselves still set up properly. We want the knees to sit right over top of your heels. And then we go up holding for 3 seconds, and we should have a 90-degree angle at our knees. So if my feet are too far away, I'm typically going to feel those hamstrings, the back of the legs. And if my feet are too close, I'm probably going to feel the top of my legs and not so much in my butt back here. So we want to get that, find that sweet spot there. And that goes for on the chair, on the floor, all of the above on that one. Okay, 2 more rounds, yes. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did in that second set 2 more times. Let's do it. Okay, so again, if you need to take a quick water break, quick sip, that's okay, but we're trying to go right into our next set. And the next one, and the next one. 2 more. There it is. 15 reps. Good job, you guys. It is a burner, I know. But you will be pleased to know that this is the last 15 rep exercise. The rest of them are 10s after this. Yeah. So just breathe through it, you guys. Use that exhale. If you're struggling, if you're not going to make it, that exhale, breathing out, will help you in all of this anytime you're doing any exercise. Test it out whenever you need it. Just probably the last 5 of those split squats. So we'll get the hip thrust in. Yes, yes. 3rd set. There you go. Good job, you guys. Oh, yes. So we'll go through these, taking our time with it. There you go. Get a nice, honest 3-second hold at the top of these hip thrusts. Nice work, you guys. And breathe through these. So we'll work through this 3rd set. Yay. Hustling between these exercises. so that we can get it all in this amount of time we have. All right, so we got those hip thrusts in, 10 of them with a 1, 2, 3 second pause at the top. And we're not just like pausing at the top. I want you actively thinking about your butt, thinking about pelvic tilting so you get a nice big squeeze on your butt through those 10, through that 3 second hold. Oh yeah. Third set. So once you guys are done, have our final one. Yay, last set of these 2. 4, and then we are moving on. 2 more to the last 2. Woo. Okay, so once you're done, again, take a couple deep breaths. I know I said no rest in between, but you know, this combo is, yeah, it's a good one. I mean, it does not feel good, but you will feel good after. So we're gonna get this 4th set in, this final set of these ones, back to this split squat. 15 reps per side. With whatever you were using on the first couple sets, or the last couple sets rather, whether it was your dumbbells, your body weight. Remembering that we want to get down to 90 degrees. That's the most important, especially if you're not working with weights. You are completely healthy in your knees. There's no reason why you shouldn't go past there. 90 degrees is the goal. All right. The last set. So we're going to go through the 15, 15, and then we have the 10 hip thrusts. Oh, yeah. Nice work, you guys. Let's get it in. Woohoo. Okay, so technically we have about 2 minutes, but I'm going to start talking about the next part pretty quick here. So let's finish up. Last set of the hip thrusts with the honest 3 second pause. When you guys are done, grab yourself a quick sip of water, stand up, shake it out, walk it off. We're going to move on to the last part here, which we have this single leg hip thrust or hip bridge, depending on how you're going to do it. So hip thrust, hip bridge, we're going to try to do this off of our chair, off of our bench, just as we were doing our other variation. But today, we have some sneaky ab work in this hip thrust. We're going to be doing something with our leg that makes this a lot harder. So we're doing 10 per side. At any point, if you feel like you cannot quite do this up here because it's just too challenging, because that just might happen, the floor is our option. So you're going to do this exact same thing with your back on the floor. But if you have access to a chair, a soft top on this, like this, then you're going to try this up here. So we're going to get ourselves into the same position we were just in. Narrow feet though, like my feet are almost touching. You guys can see this. We want to bring our ribs and pelvis together. So we're doing a bit of that crunch. And then we're going to drive our hips all the way up to the top so that we're in this top position. I'm going to take one leg and straighten it out like this. So now to hold that leg out like this, and then we're going to go down and then up, and I'm trying to, you gotta see, I gotta correct there, hold this leg out while I go through this entire set of 10 hip thrusts on each side. Okay, so join me here. If you haven't already, let's do this. So again, find that starting position, leg out, we go down, and then we drive up, and actually look at your legs and make sure they stay in line. It's gonna wanna creep up, you guys can see it's happening. But we gotta just control that so that you end up with your top of your legs in line with each other. So we'll go through those 10 and 10. If you are really challenged by that, something's quite a bit harder than it looks. You can try it down on the floor here like this. And then again, we're trying to just focus on touching our back down. And we can go through the 10 like so. Hands down, hands up, whatever you want to do. Whew. Okay, so once you guys are done that, we are standing up. Standing up. We are going to pair this with something. The last exercise. And then we're going to do with this 3 more times for our 4 sets. So we have, to finish off here, our deadlift to double calf raise. So last week we just did one calf raise at the top. We're back to 2 here. So I'm going to push my hips back and then come up onto the toes twice and then down onto the heels, sending my hips back behind me. So we're trying to hips back. As soon as the weights are right above my knees, I bend my knees, but I'm in this narrow stance. Woo, balance. So hips back, knees, and then up twice. So those of you who are working with strictly bands, what I want you to do is take a band and hold it tight above your head like this. And work with the same deadlift, which I had to think about there, with the overhead positioning with your band. And we're going through 10 of those. Hopefully you gathered that. Okay, and the whole thing is one. The deadlift, and then the 1 and the 2, and that has more. And you're doing 10. All right. So these ones. No rest. Once again, we're going to go through 3 more rounds of this. Back into that hip thrust, that hip bridge with the extended leg. Now, like I said, this for some of us is going to be really hard, and we're going to find it very challenging to get our hips up into that fully hip thrusted position with that leg sticking out like that, because that alone is work in your core and your hips and your glutes and the backside. So try your best to do this. If you're kind of stuck in between, you can think about keeping your leg straight, but maybe just with a slight bend in the knee, but trying to still keep both of your legs in line with each other. So not letting the knee dip or lift up to where we have it up here normally, but rather having it kind of out slightly and then eventually working to straightening it out. And so that's kind of our in-between over just simply switching on to the floor, which is another option, but you might find too easy, so you can kind of play around with it. 10 and 10. Yes. All right, let's do this. So we have this deadlift to double calf raise. It's a very strong movement. We have some balance involved. Up on the toes. We want to come down but not relax the heels. Back up onto the toes and then into that full deadlift. Yes. There it is. Good job, guys. So we work through these 10 of them, 2 more rounds after this. You got it. There it is. Good job, you guys. Nice work. So a big part of that deadlift is upper body involvement. And when we're holding the weights down here, we're pulling our shoulder blades down and back and down behind you. But you have to hold your arms quite a